Alrighty, good morning, neighbors. Good morning, neighbors. Good morning, neighbors. How art thou? It is Tuesday, the 19th day of December. 6 days to Christmas. Yep, 6 days to Christmas. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. And for Christmas, we have the full cast in on a Tuesday. Wendell will join us. We just heard from Paul Richards. We got Richard Ragabarazing. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. Let's get straight into the WTs, see what's happening, weather and traffic-wise. I'm seeing there's an accident already. I'll get into that. Let's start down San Fernando, where I'm sure I have nothing for you. And so I was correct. Heading north on the Solo, I got nothing until you get to Charlieville. There is an accident just it's northbound, just before Monroe Road. So that's created a bit of macro traffic, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it's saying it's northbound. So that's a little thing. Let's go to East-West Corridor. Nothing to tell you about going to Santa Rosa. Got some volume, but nothing out to the west. Nothing heading in the Port of Spain. All right. That's a quick T for you. Let's get into the W, the weather, see what's happening there. Let's see. I felt it this morning, 23 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 25 at Crown Point in Tobago. And let's see if the Met Office has updated their weather for today, because we know a lot of you are doing a lot of work outside. As of yesterday, they said today, they didn't do anything for today. They didn't do anything for today, but I'm anticipating it'll be just like yesterday. Yesterday was some heat. All right, so that's your WTs. Let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning via YouTube and Facebook. First off the gate this morning, Edwin Marshall. Good Tuesday morning to you. Oliver Man Warren, Wendy and James. Garth Celia out in Baltimore, Maryland. DJ Ray out in Tampa. Marcia Rock out in Orlando, Florida. Carol Guevara. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. And gentlemen, I will tell you, Ray is going to have a Trini Christmas. Yes, I'm going to tell you all. She's coming in tomorrow for a Trini Christmas. All right. Boy Bedesi, good morning. Carol Joseph, Wayne B. in Covington, Georgia. Rennie Mohammed, he's out in Point Lisas. Let's see. Ewart Rajpal, good morning to you. Rena Budu Jennings, Brenda Isaac, Dancing Queen. I should pull out a song right now. Lando. There's an accident on the highway close to QREP northbound. Oh, there is? There's an accident close to QREP northbound. Okay, so that had to be by the roundabout kind of thing. Okay. Let's say good morning going out to Dan Raj as well. Send us a message on WhatsApp at 3181021. And just because it's Christmas, I say good morning to Wendell Stephen.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Richard. And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, our international listeners and viewers. Beautiful Tuesday morning in Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice and cool. Morning, Paul.
Good morning to you all, and good morning to Massy Conglomerate.
I'm thinking Rumbox needs to do the same.
Is that a video you sent, Wendell?
It's Ruben shared it in the chat, and it made very interesting reading.
It's on page of the Guardian today, where Massy has a big meeting in Miami, or is it Florida? And one of the executives raised an alarm over a leadership training program where executives are flown to Miami every year or regularly.
Fort Myers in Florida.
Sorry. And the executive cited, well, in a time of scarce Forex, they're flying these people there all the time for training when they could train in Trinidad, suggesting it's a waste of vital Forex. And during the... you can't make this stuff up, you know. During the training program, they have bizarre rituals where they even talking to dead people and things.
They use a white light.
And talk to dead people and bring the energy of the dead into the room and all kind of craziness. And then Jervis Warner said, well, that's very successful.
Yes, I found that part funny.
He said that's the secret to the success.
Yeah, I think he needs to explain that part.
You don't need to explain nothing as a private sector company. You have to explain one damn thing as a private company. Okay?
No, I want the explanation because
you would like him to explain it. You don't need to explain. You would like him to explain it.
I would like him to explain it for the benefit of other companies.
Now, why you want the secret talking to dead and the next time people talking to them that people do?
But I don't know that there is anybody out there who does not speak to dead people.
I do speak to dead people.
When you pray, who you think you're talking to?
I talking to the living Jesus Christ. Me talking to God through the living Jesus Christ. Me talking to the dead people. I don't know if your Jesus Christ still dead, but mine rose from the dead. So mine are dead. Maybe yours dead. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe that's your problem. You're talking to the dead Jesus and not the living Jesus. That's your whole problem right now. And we now figure it out. Because if you're still talking to the dead Jesus Christ, you have a real problem.
Brother man, whether you believe
it or not, teach you in church to talk to the dead Jesus Christ?
You speak to dead people. Sometimes your mother dead or your father
dead. I don't speak to no dead people, brother.
And you say, Lord, mommy, why you're not here today? Because of some stressful situation you're going through. Oh, Jesus Christ, daddy.
My father is passed and I just speak to him.
You don't say, I wish sometimes he was here sometimes to deal with the
When I said rest in peace, I meant it.
Okay.
I ain't waking him up on the rest in peace. How are you going to be resting in peace if you're waking him up by talking to him every minute? You have some problems, you know. You have some problems. You waking up, after you tell them rest in peace, you waking them up to talk to them?
Sometimes
where you should be talking to the wake up, you ain't talking to the wake up.
I want to be brutally honest that sometimes I wish I still had a mom alive.
That I can understand.
You know, and my dad too, because he died after my mom. So sometimes I talk to them. You ever go to the cemetery and
Absolutely not. I don't. No? I know people do, but I don't.
That's what I say. So I'm saying that there are people who actually speak to the dead.
Well, Jervis, one is clearly one of them. Good morning. Speaking of speaking to the dead, good morning, Mr. Rakubar Singh.
He's attacking you, Richard.
With him has your blue t-shirt.
I see that. Good morning, guys. Good morning to our listeners, wherever you are.
Ward him off quickly, Richard. Do your ritual and ward him off quickly before he gets
you. Them talking to dead people in light and thing in executive.
Richard, he wasn't watching.
Who was talking to the dead?
Jervis Warner and Massy, big shots on them. They fly to Miami, Florida to talk to dead and thing and to see part of the successful ritual led by the company, the conglomerate successful.
You have seances?
Apparently.
It's not seances, but but it's some sort of training session. He said that they go through for their top management and middle management, and he said it's the reason for their success. That's what he said.
So why is he talking to the dead?
Because
one of the executives raised a red flag that they fly these executives to Florida every year for training, and the executive said it is in a time when Forex is scarce. He thinks it's a waste of money when they could be training in Trinidad and Tobago. And they also have these rituals at these meetings where they have light and talk to dead people. So Jervis Warner responded by saying that it is in the Guardian today, that it is the secret to their success. Front page of the Guardian, Massy red flag, executive raises alarm over leadership training program. Suggests it's a waste of vital foreign exchange. Warns of bizarre rituals, including communicating with the dead. So when I walk in Massy stores and I take all your money, or you don't know, or you're zombied out, that's what I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the price of their golden blueberries has make me want to dead because they're ridiculous.
But I don't know. This is a classic this morning, yes? Guardian take win. That's a good front page. There started some
Hold on.
companies today.
I think it's only fair to read exactly what Jervey Warner said. He said, when asked if it would be possible to fly the management trainers to TNT instead of flying them to Fort Myers, Warner said that has happened as well. So the trainers have also been here. He said flying 4 or 5 people to Fort Myers for 4 days, 4 times a year is not, you notice that is 3 4s there, is not going to affect the bottom line of the Massy group of companies.
Not a billion-dollar company, no.
Huh?
Well, but not to mention
not a
Massy is a
billion-dollar
private company. If they want to fly people to
Which is
Timbuktu,
exactly what I told you. But remember, he's an executive in the company raised the issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the executive out of place to bring it out in public, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he said to counteract Ms. Parisot Potter, he said, although the company earns a significant, admitted that although the group earns a significant percentage of its foreign exchange needs, it is not a net foreign exchange earner. Warner was asked whether that means some percentage of Massy's foreign exchange needs come from the local commercial banks, which may mean that the group is getting foreign exchange for the leadership training program that could go to other businesses. He said, I am not sure I am following your logic because we spend millions upon millions of dollars in foreign exchange on an annual basis. This is a drop in the bucket.
I would think so because there are many companies
Because
in Trinidad
it's a billion-dollar conglomerate.
Yeah,
there are many companies in Trinidad and Tobago that send people abroad for foreign training and
all the time.
Yeah, so I find
my issue is not that. My issue is talking to dead people.
I find that's a silly point.
When
the issue of the strangeness of the leadership training is a little weird, I must say, depending on how it's communicated.
Mm-hmm.
But why would an executive raise an issue of the company that you're working for, sending people abroad? And there seems to be more in the mortar than the person, quite frankly, in that.
And I'm happy you said it, Richard, because from the time I see who raised it and the person who they're attacking, I say, okay.
Yeah, that seems
all power to
Jervey Warner. It's very difficult for them to attack Jervey Warner. Because Jervey Warner has, with his team, led a transformation of the Neil and Massy group into the Massy group, realign the company's vast portfolio and continue to make it profitable.
Yeah. Not to
I'm
mention
not just profitable, very profitable, expanding more into the Caribbean and North America.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me read.
They can't really attack Jervey Warner that much.
So let me read the last 2 paragraphs of this thing. He said Parisot Potter would not be the first executive who has had difficulty in a program like this. We think a part of our secret at Massy is that we are willing to do this kind of work as leaders. It is the kind of work that we have done that allows us to have the results the company shows. That is because culture eats strategy for breakfast. Adding that building the connection and trust with other leaders, employees, customers, and communities is a big part of Massy's success. In its financial year ended September 30th, 2023, that's just under 2 months ago, Massy's revenue increased by 15% to $14.19 billion, and its profit before tax was up by 23% at $1.22 billion. Its after-tax profit declined, though, to $812.9 million as a result of the you know, and maybe what Jervey Warner is pointing to, that there are people who have had problems like that. Maybe they all look like Parisot Potter. That's my opinion only.
No, we don't go down that road. That is not the default perspective.
Not the opinion of anybody.
No, I just think it is obviously the leadership training. Did she go on the leadership training?
Clearly, she ain't going on that.
No, but I mean, for her to have insight into.
Yes, apparently she was there. Yes,
apparently she was there.
She was there. The implication that she was part of the group that was discussing
maybe it was something that just didn't suit her particular personality, because I doubt there's any leadership training that is going through any seance to talk to dead people. I assume it's something along the lines of bonding and who have you lost. You know, they use different means of bonding in terms of those sessions.
And,
I'm sure,
if you could tell them something now, what would you tell them?
yes, something
What
along
kind of
those lines.
yeah? There's some I know there's some emotional intelligence training programs that go through that.
It has to be something like that than the dramatic headline of the Guardian. But I mean,
I
come
was
on.
part of a group that went through a training session like that already.
But we don't know. But
that spoke about whatever trauma that you would have had back in the day. You understand? Those things happen.
But raising that as a foreign exchange issue, I think is a silly point, quite frankly.
When you're earning as much as Massy's earning.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but there are many companies across Trinidad and Tobago who are not earning as much as Massy's earning that will sometimes send people for training abroad.
And not only earning, the level of employment that Massy Group provides across the region. Anyway, so
and then above all that, it's a private company. So
that's what I told Wendy earlier. You can't tell a private company what to run the business.
Yep.
Well, she certainly raised it as
well, unless the private company was Clico. That cost us billions. Anyway, the Police Complaints Authority has started the investigations into the shooting at Courts Megastore on Sunday, which resulted in the loss of life of 2 individuals at the hand of an off-duty police officer. The others are reportedly recovering at hospital. One of the people at the hospital, I understand, is an under police guard. It should get me even more scared. Anyway, yeah. So they started the investigations into this unfortunate incident.
But did you hear the other? Did you hear?
Doesn't Massy have not Massy no? Doesn't Courts have cameras outside there?
That's the first thing we said. Courts has several cameras outside there.
So they must have tracked it. So I'm sure they've pulled that footage.
The question is who's pulled it and who's keeping it safe.
The police would have pulled it. The police would have requested the footage as part of the investigation.
Guys, I also read yesterday that 2 of the uniformed police officers who was at the scene yesterday were also part of this deal. Didn't you read that version from the family? That 2 of the uniformed officers were also part of this what do they call him? What was the officer? Off-duty officer. He was part of the deal. The police also have confirmed that the off-duty police officer was the subject of the shooting.
Where the police confirm that?
Yes, but you're not reading out.
There was a police release?
When they interviewed the senior superintendent in the area, somebody named Mr. Edwards or something, so he confirmed that the off-duty police officer was the center of that shooting.
Well, Added to that, Commissioner Ulla Harewood Christopher has said an investigation has been started into the officer that the judicial officer, the judge, had to tell Yonder Ute, be careful what you're saying, make sure and tell the truth.
Yeah, and
in other words, don't lie.
And she's
look at you, sound like you're lying.
She's only a 2-month-old police officer.
She must have got confused.
No, somebody directed her to do what she did. That's the opinion of a lot of people. That she was directed to do and say what she said.
Okay.
And then she admitted after that, she was sworn to tell the truth.
Police and then here with a bang.
So she had to tell the truth.
She could tell the truth from the start. When you go up on the witness stand, when you never watch TV, they never tell you swear in the Bible or whatever religious book you have to swear to tell the truth. What do you think you're going to fabricate to tell Nancy stories?
You seem to forget.
It's creative writing.
You seem to forget, but that quite recently, with the Maruga shooting, that a policewoman swore under oath too that they are told how to do their reports. They are guided how to do their reports.
Well, none of this surprises me, Up to now, we don't know who sent the people to Barbados to pick up Brent Thomas. Up to now.
True.
We don't know who pressed the button and said, go and pick up Brent Thomas in Barbados. That just happened by osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, the officers just come together like the day of total policing, and when Barbados get command some state machinery to go in the air, land in Barbados, according to the Barbados Attorney General, went outside the ambits of the law, pick up Brent Thomas and bring him back here.
Mm-hmm.
So much so a judge say they kidnapped the man, the police. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Okay, right. So why would any of this surprise us? Because the police mount an operation to leave Trinidad and Tobago, whether with good reason or not. Up to now, we don't know who pressed the button on that. When you ask Commissioner Harewood, she just go into this smile. I cannot comment on that the investigation is ongoing. It's still ongoing because we can't know up to now. A question was asked about whether a written report was given to the Minister of National Security. The answer was as nebulous as you could get. So they ain't putting on nothing on paper to come back to haunt them. Because that is a big secret.
Mm-hmm.
Who initiate this picking up of Brent Thomas in Barbados? Whether for legitimate reasons or not. And nobody doing nothing. Everybody they say, well, that didn't come before us. And I have no knowledge. I read about it in the newspaper like everybody else.
It's strange, though, that even the issue of Brent Thomas and his attorneys have gone silent on that, too.
But it's going through a judicial process.
Mm.
You understand? They're going through the business. Brent could just make some money. Good morning to teachers, at least 90% of you. Back pay in the bank.
But it's coming today.
Back pay in the bank. When they say today, it means midnight. As at midnight tonight. Okay? When they say Tuesday, it means as midnight. Systems and is so 11,540 teachers, or 90% of active eligible teachers, or some would say eligible, across the country will receive their back pay, or maybe have received their back pay today. Don't spend it all in one place. Public servants are also being paid today for December, as is customary at Christmas time.
What is today's date? The 19th.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get some. I have about 4 birthday greetings. Nicole Eulery, happy birthday, Nicole. I'm sure I'm going to see you by Rumbox later. Glenn Charles, Superintendent Glenn Charles from the he is in charge of the city police. I think he's on leave now, though. Happy birthday, Superintendent Charles. Trevor Gemot, Beverly Allen, and Damian Martin, and Kamini Hiralal. Remember Kamini, Steve? Where did he go? Kamini Hiralal is celebrating her birthday also today. All right, so happy birthday to you all.
Never heard that one. Another attack on a religious place of worship.
Baptist.
I don't know. What is that about? What is that about?
Mad people.
It started with Hindu mosques, if I'm not mistaken.
But no,
several different religious denominations have been attacked in the last year.
All right, but you can't say Hindu and then mosque. You have to say
Hindu temple, sorry. My apologies.
Yeah.
But there have been several attacks on places of worship. This time in Claxton Bay, the St. Francis Shrine Church of the All Saints. And I mean, this is just like with the temple the other day, where they actually burnt, I think, particular instruments inside the temple. They actually gathered a Bible, wooden benches, and altar drums and clay vases and other sacred vessels in the middle of the church and set it ablaze at 8 p.m. What is that about? That's a disturbing turn of events continuing.
That's insanity. That's what it is.
Richard Raghubasan, congratulations.
What you get?
Your consistent advocacy
for the
change in dress code at state entities has borne fruit. You are personally responsible.
Well, I can't say me alone because Wendell used
Hotchner. I come into that. We finish the accolade now. Responsible with your legal acumen and going to the Privy Council, no, just joking, and influencing the powers that be, aided and abetted by one Wendell Stephen. Congratulations to you both. So they have taken note of your advocacy. The Minister West says we've listened and completed the research to ensure a more inclusive, culturally sensitive policy is instituted. The focus is on equitable treatment, mutual respect and safety, as well as providing and not denying service. And that point is why I know you were involved.
Yeah, I think the government has to get 100% marks on this. It's long overdue. Lord knows.
And low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit, you're right. It was an easy decision to make. And a decision that I don't think you'll get any argument for. It's like child marriage. It was so easy to do.
You mean to outlaw?
To outlaw, yes. To get it on the books.
Yeah.
Even
so congratulations to you both. I'm sure that yours advocacy had something to do with this.
Well, we all played a part, members of the media, and along with members of the public, including Ali Berry, who we interviewed.
Ali Berry, we have to congratulate Ali Berry also because
Alison. We interviewed her when she had to.
It was an archaic colonial vestige that needed to go.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
You understand?
Well done, Minister Alison West.
Well done, you guys.
Just coming back to touch on that story. But thank you, Paul. But just coming back to get touch on that story on the front page of The Guardian. That really looks to me like an answer McCall versus Massy, because there is no reason to have a headline that says Massy red flag on the front page of a newspaper run by a competing conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how that helping them?
I mean,
that didn't even one thing.
Massive businesses will overlap with Answer McCall's businesses, Paul. They didn't say Massy stores red flag, They say Massy red flag.
That didn't do Massy one thing.
Yeah, it's even if you wanted to make a story out of that, it does not deserve a front page.
I fully agree with that. But it is The Guardian, so anything is possible.
If they only know how this will probably work in Massy's favor, because we are very supernatural oriented people, We're curious, about the supernatural,
So the Catholic Church has made a pronouncement yesterday. I'm moving on fast. So speaking of supernatural, priests under certain circumstances will be able to bless, they said, same-sex unions. They specifically didn't use the word marriage. They said same-sex unions. It created quite a buzz in international media. It led for about 3-4 hours on all the major networks around the world because it is a marked change in approach by the Catholic Church. They did not say marriage, they said unions under specific circumstances.
The Catholic Church still considers marriage between a man and a woman.
For the purpose of procreation.
Yeah, they said that.
So it's an interesting development. I'm trying to figure out under what circumstances they mean.
They said the priest can decide, and I assume it's not necessarily in a marriage ceremony, because they were very clear to say that marriage is between a man and a woman. They still look at it as that, and so I assume it's. I don't know in what circumstance. People will have to be. Well, I mean, there are priests who bless same-sex unions long before the dictates of the Vatican.
Catholic priests?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, but
I think it's an exercise in
it'll be informally. Of course, they'll be informal, and they're not doing it under, they're not doing it in the church.
Yeah, I think the idea is to get people a little more tolerant than they have been. I think that's the idea.
This Pope has been his pronouncements have been a lot more in alignment with tolerance and respecting individual human beings. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
So regardless of your inclinations or your orientation, he's been always about treating everyone like a human being.
Yep. Which is how
So
it should be.
this is not in line. This is not alien to that philosophy of no matter who you are, what difference of opinion you hold, what orientation you may be, treat everyone like a human being. So this is kind of in line with that,
Yeah.
while still maintaining the biblical tenets of what marriage in the Bible is about. So I think it's a step in the right direction, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think so.
I know it's controversial, for many people. It's a trigger for many people, but we can pull that later on today if you so acquiesce.
Yeah, we can do that.
Jonathan Majors found guilty of assault and harassment of his former girlfriend during a domestic dispute. Did you all hear the audio tape of him?
Disappointing.
No.
No, I saw the video.
Telling her, well, she will tape all this, eh? You understand?
The woman,
No. You don't know what she was going through before while she taped this. It's a no woman thing, okay? She may have been going through stuff with him before and wanted to provide evidence. It's not just that she going and try to bring him down.
No, I never said that, but maybe he deserves to be brought down.
Well, maybe, because the court found him guilty of assault and harassment of his former girlfriend during a domestic dispute. He was telling us stuff like, I am a great man, fine. We are the next Michelle and Obama, Barack and Obama, no kind of grandiose stuff like that.
That can't be what brought him down.
No, but she would have to provide evidence and in a court. One count of reckless assault in the third degree and another non-criminal charge of harassment as a violation.
Apparently, she saw, according to the story, they were in the car and a message came on his phone that said from another woman that says, "I miss kissing you," or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And she see that?
And she saw it. But she picked up the phone and she saw it. And she queried. And of course, he grabbed back the phone. And of course, there was a tussle and he twisted her hand behind the back, allegedly.
Okay.
And then hit her to get it back. Hit her in the head. I don't know if it was a headbutt or if it was a hit in the head. Mm-hmm. But this is what the story said. That was the incident that was under scrutiny.
For the benefit of our listeners, Andrea, who is Jonathan Majors?
He's a big star. He's a rising star. He acted in Creed and some of the Marvel series.
Yeah,
he was really a star.
He's Kang in the Marvel. He's Kang in Marvel. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was on the ascent in Hollywood.
Yeah, he's a good friend of Michael B. Jordan.
There's a video of him running from a woman in the streets, trying to, get away from her. And running for quite a distance, picked up on several CCTV cameras that were able to be gotten by the authorities, including TMZ, and followed him through several streets of New York because TMZ was able to do detective work and get the video footage and put it out there following several buildings along several streets.
So he's been a victim of abuse also?
Well, I don't know, but she was trying to talk to him and he clearly knew that he was in the streets and was coming out of a car. There was some sort of incident and he was trying to get away from her. And I can understand that because if it escalates, he'll be the one said to be the aggressor because he's a big guy. You understand?
Yeah.
And so he was trying to run from her. She was running behind him and of course she couldn't keep up. But she couldn't keep up. And the rest is history now. So note to self.
Was it the same woman who
I don't know. I think so, but I'm not sure. Okay. Right? Globally, I don't know. The end of the year is so tumultuous. 180 people reported dead in China.
5.9 earthquake.
Well, the European seismic authorities are saying 6.2. The US is saying 5.9. In a mountainous region, hit around midnight on Monday. And what are
the Chinese saying? Because they're the ones.
They're saying 6.2. And they're saying it's expected to rise because it's winter, it's cold, and people had to rush outside because the buildings were falling, collapsed houses and buildings. So they huddled around makeshift fires and hastily erected evacuation camps. Temperatures minus 13 degrees Celsius.
Crap.
Jesus.
Yeah, that is not survivable for a long period.
No.
And it's a mountainous region too, so getting aid in is very difficult. Minus 13 air right here.
That's
Okay,
cool.
that is incompatible with life on a consistent basis.
Hmm.
You know, and a volcano erupted southwest Iceland after weeks of seismic activity.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, 4,000 people were evacuated before it finally hit.
Months ago, yeah.
Well, they knew
And
they knew
They
it was
knew it
going
was
to.
coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
it had been increasing for a while. So
Yeah.
they were proactive and evacuated the people. So a lot of stuff happening around the world as we count down to Christmas 2023.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. It's a strange time. Very strange time. So there's so many questions we could ask this morning. And St. Lucia won the Best Caribbean Island 2023 Reader's Choice Award.
No surprise there. Good morning. We have a messenger from St. Lucia. Is it Leo? Is it Leo?
Yeah.
Someone who
What's
messages
his
us
name again?
from St. Lucia.
From St. Lucia.
Marvel has also dropped majors after that conviction. That's another.
Oh yeah,
story.
he's gonna have a rough time for a couple of years.
He's gonna have a rough time. And up and coming, so which just shows. I mean, be a good human being in private and public now. That's so difficult for so many people to do.
Human failure.
Well, he seemed to have a bit of hubris about him. You know, when you start a rise in Hollywood and you're all over big screens, and sometimes, not all the time, you get a bit of a
Leo Henry. That's him.
a bit of a ego, and sometimes you feel that you could do what you want. Well, this is certainly a serious blow to his rising star. And you know it goes.
Because
he has been dropped from the next Marvel movie.
Because it's a conviction, yeah.
It's a conviction. It's not a charge anymore.
Yeah.
So they're going to write off all his characters and kill them off in AI. Yeah, that's what they do. It's even the write off a character.
And as a side story, a parenting YouTube star who taught people about parenting and stuff like that pleads guilty to child abuse.
Oh, God. And nothing worse than abusing a child, eh?
It's crazy. It's a crazy planet we live on. I tell you, I'm 2,000 years too early. I always say that.
But I'll tell you a funny story. Yesterday, my sister-in-law called me and she said, Steve, I'm going to call you back. You have to pretend you're the Grinch. I said, I was lying with Richard, so therefore that'd be very easy. Because my nieces were not listening.
And they know you?
Yeah, so she called and I said, yes, I'm the Grinch.
They know you well, Steve? and they think you have to pretend to be the Grinch?
I had to change my voice. They know my voice very well, so I had to change my voice and pretend I'm the Grinch in order for them to behave.
But why would why would they think you of all people have to pretend to be the Grinch?
Yeah,
I'll deal with you when I see you later.
Take the signals from Paul's expressions now.
I'm confused. I mean, why you have to pretend to be the Grinch? I mean, that's as typecast as it comes. If you know anything about Steve Khan. Anyway, who has papers?
Let me say some good news. And the good news is out of the Matura police station. We're on the weekend. They went to the Matura Community Center. Santa Claus came by on riding a motorbike and handed out presents, Christmas treats and cheer to over 250 families.
Excellent.
Very good.
Kudos to you guys at the Matura Police Station.
I saw Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal dressed as Santa Claus on Sunday also. Sunday or Saturday? Sunday. Yeah, driving through St. Augustine.
He was dressed as Mrs. Claus.
Well, Mrs. Claus.
Okay.
And I saw Faris dressed as Faris on the weekend.
Well, he was in a sleeveless and slippers.
He has gone so silent. We haven't heard comparisons before the elections.
I saw Faris dressed as Faris hugging children. Anyway, let's
Anyway,
go with
let's get in the headlines of all 3 dailies, gentlemen.
trouble this morning.
I'll do the Guardian in my unique voice, that unique type of voice that Leo Henry says I have. I could go deeper, Leo. Massy, that didn't come out right. My voice, I meant. Massy red flag. That's the headline in today's Guardian. Executive raises alarm over leadership training program. Suggests it's a waste of vital foreign exchange. Warns of bizarre rituals, including communicating with dead. That's the headline in today's Guardian. Of course, today the West Indies will be playing England at the Brian Lara Stadium in Tarouba, and they were signing autographs over yesterday.
Mm-hmm. But did you see as well, gentlemen, that they've told the English team to be very careful?
Well, they told them that before, and then the shooting happened.
Yeah.
Right outside the hotel.
Which
the guy subsequently died, eh?
Yeah, he did. A 47-year-old chap.
Which hotel is that?
There was a shooting yesterday morning around 1 a.m. By the Independence Square and Royston Road intersection.
Right outside by Hyatt.
Yeah.
Oh, they are staying in the Hyatt?
Yeah.
Yeah, the English team they are staying at the Hyatt.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let me continue with headline. Pensioner saves church from fire set by arsonists. And also Florida leadership training bizarre. Suggestions to fix customs delay ignored. PCA visits scene of deadly court shooting, calls on witnesses. Sleeveless and slippers now allowed in government offices. Public Administration Minister implements new inclusive dress code policy. Back pay in the bank for teachers today. And February completion for repairs to Manzanilla Mayawa Road, so says Minister of Works Rohan Sinanan. Those are all articles. $1.5 million municipal police headquarters opens in Debe. All right, all articles in today's Guardian newspaper. All right, that's it for the Guardian.
Should I move to the Express for today?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, permission granted, Paul. Go ahead.
Shoppers return to Courts megastore after the store was abruptly closed after the shooting on Sunday. So people went back to Courts. Good for Courts. A picture of the 2 victims of the shooting, because they're dead, so they're victims. Very beautiful young lady and her brother. Sad. A new dress code by January 15th. England cricketers on high alert after killing near Hyatt. Teachers receive back pay today. Baptist church set on fire. Bravo Chucho, did I pronounce that correctly? 82-year-old Cuban jazz maestro delivers. Shamfa, carnival boost for handicraft workers. Bullets for Wednesday Hyatt. Doma upbeat on Christmas. And those are the trending stories in your Express today.
I can do the Newsday.
Please.
So the Newsday today, new dress code for government offices in 2024. Government receives UN donations to assist vulnerable women and girls. IRO, take attacks against religious groups seriously. Cops seek more information on court shooting. And government Laventil honor Morris Marshall. Rhonda Hines, crime is a whole of society issue. Of course, I'll be the Minister of National Security. Man ambushed and killed near water taxi terminal. Confusion at the ports. That story continues to trend with regard to the issue of customs and on the ports. And of course, in sports, at mad dropped, Joseph rested. West Indies aim to clinch T20 series versus England. That's it for the main stories. Sando Chambers says, port delays 1 week before Christmas, unacceptable. And that's it for our 3 dailies this morning.
Paul, that hand you're raising there to prop your chin, is that your left hand or your right hand?
It's always reversed on camera. That's my left hand.
So that's your left hand there now?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a wedding ring you have on it?
Does it look like a wedding ring? You just put a wedding ring on the middle finger.
All right, okay. Now I'm now seeing which finger it's on. Let's check in.
Let me just say a couple of birthdays.
Why is that of interest
You run up to New York a few times lately, you know.
Why is that of interest to you?
I just checking.
As he talk of the town, you know, Wendell, he run into New York plenty.
Yeah. I thought it was wedding ring.
Why get mind in your business though, Paul?
Why is that of interest to you?
I mean, because...
Anyway, gentlemen, let's get into our poll while you'll come up with it. Let me say happy birthday going on to Frank Edwards.
Leo say he's a lodge man.
And and Arabi Ali of Ali's Doubles, my new best friend, my best friend out in Barataria. It's his birthday today. And Leslie John Clark from Los Alumnos de San Juan is celebrating her birthday. Good morning, Leo Henry, Doreen Pierre, Ms. Maloney. Of course, Leo Henry is from St. Lucia. CPT Singh, Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Good morning to you. Money Grip, Anthony Tinto, Lando, John Tinto. Good morning, Rena Budu Jennings, Brother Isaac. I missed one.
I was going to show you the middle finger, you know.
Oh, behave. All right, 222. Oh, shoot, I didn't get a result of poll from yesterday. Yesterday we asked, do you think the shooting at Court's megastore was a robbery gone awry or array? As
no, Steve, not or nothing.
Alleged by officer involved. All right, that was our poll yesterday. 82% said no. 82% said no. All right. Good morning to Michael on WhatsApp. Joran Joseph, good morning to you. All right. Our morning poll. There it is on our screen. Go ahead, Rich.
Good morning poll just now. I was telling somebody happy birthday. As you was going through birthdays, I just remembered.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so our poll this morning, do you agree with Catholic priests being able to bless same-sex unions according to the Pope?
Yes or no?
You're changing it around, Paul.
No, I'm putting a capital C for Catholic.
So do you agree with Catholic priests being able to bless same-sex unions according to the Pope?
All right.
Anyway, I suppose that gets the gist of it. So that's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web, you know what to do, or listening elsewhere. You can send your votes via the comment section on the YouTube stream, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And of course, you can also WhatsApp us your vote at 868-318-1021. That number again, 318-1021. That's the WhatsApp number. Are you recording, Wendell?
Yeah. Yes, I'll record.
Okay.
Kazim Mohammed has already said no. He's voted on YouTube. And good morning or good evening, according to Michael Robinson out in Yokohama, Japan. Michael Robinson says no. Also, he's out in Japan.
Yeah, haven't heard from you in a while, Michael.
Slick Money Grip says no.
Jaron Joseph says yes, I agree. Junior says no. Danrad says no. Wayne B says no. Julia S. Batiste, morning, Julia. Merry Christmas. No. All right. Do you agree with Catholic priests being able to bless same-sex unions according to the Pope?
Yep. Don't they say it in Catholicism that the Pope is the emissary on earth? Is that the correct phraseology?
He's infallible.
Representative?
The
He's infallible in
representation.
spiritual matters.
Sorry?
He's infallible in spiritual matters.
Exactly. Is it God's representative on earth? Is that it?
That's how it's interpreted, yes.
Okay. All right. So
Oliver says no, I don't agree.
You have
Cool.
5 votes there on YouTube.
Go ahead with it.
Michelin
morning,
McClatchy says no. Anthony Tinto, no. Wayne Joseph, Ontario, Canada, no. Pearl Cordis, no. Miss Maloney, no.
Boy Bedesi.
222 talk. Richard, but when you say this call.
Say what? 222 talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. Those are the numbers you can call. You can
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. My answer is no.
Roger
Is that
that.
your other teacher? Yeah, what name, Randall?
So do you agree with Catholic priests being able to now bless
Yeah, they're in a t-shirt.
same-sex
Yeah,
unions
it's a cricket
according to the
t-shirt.
Pope? So the Pope and the Vatican has given a new directive that same-sex unions priests can bless same-sex unions. Do you agree with it? Yes or no? That's our poll this morning. Of course, you can send your votes via the comment section on YouTube, via the LinkedIn and Facebook connections. Also, you can WhatsApp it at 318-1021, as well as call the numbers I just gave. Usually the numbers of ticker taping across the bottom.
Yeah.
Are not taken
All right. Marcia Rock says no. Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago says no. Nemo says no. Good morning, Lorna, Indy, Carly, back in TNT, back to reality. And
The only reason they ain't going to tongue is because the Pope, you know.
Yeah. DL says no.
You know that, Randall?
Well, one of them starts.
If it wasn't the Pope, they're going to tongue it.
Well, one of them started. Look at the last comment on YouTube.
All right, let's grab this call. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sammy Grandi, no.
All right, Grandy, thank you.
They're being very respectful and just saying no. If it wasn't the Pope.
Rena Boodoo Jennings says no.
Just go and get all the comments.
Adonna Clark, you haven't voted, though. You've made your comment
Please vote.
about a special hell for them, but you haven't voted.
John Keto says no. All right, we have a couple of seconds again.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a special hell for the Pope and the priest or if it's a special hell for the same-sex people. I'm not sure.
Of course, coming up next hour, our guest will be Mr. Vasant Bharat. Looking back at 2023.
Oh, yippee. I'll be on my way, dog.
What a year. Would you say 2023 was a successful year for Trinidad and Tobago? And
I think it was. I think it was. I think we've gotten past that. I think we've gotten past COVID in a lot of ways this year. We were able to get back on track in a lot of ways. Although I still can't understand people who are driving alone or sometimes walking the road alone with a mask on still. I just don't understand that still.
They may have some pre-existing condition.
I know, but you're alone in your car and you with a mask on, or you're alone walking. I don't know.
Trevor Arima says no.
People what were you doing in your car?
Yeah. Donna Clark says no. All right, let's get into our major news, gentlemen. Aviation Hillback is in on this 19th day of December.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The PCA says it started its investigations following the shooting at Court's Megastore car park. Teachers to get back pay from today. An SRP constable in court for murder. And a British minister visits Guyana amid border controversy with Venezuela. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel Bob. Good morning. Investigators from the Police Complaints Authority started their investigations at the court's megastore in San Juan yesterday, which was the scene when off-duty police officer opened fire on 5 people in the car park, killing 2 people and injuring 3 others on Sunday afternoon. The development came as the off-duty officer, according to investigators close to the TTPS probe, was expected to be questioned about the deadly incident. Meanwhile, the mother of 5 who was shot in the mayhem remained under police guard at the hospital yesterday. Just after midday on Sunday, 35-year-old Sanaya Lassie, her brother, 33-year-old Simeon, his wife Carrie, and family friend Nathan Pear were shot by an off-duty police officer in the car park of Courts Megastore. The siblings were killed on the spot while the others were left nursing gunshot injuries. Initial reports from the TTPS stated that the off-duty police officer opened fire during an attempted robbery. However, relatives of the siblings provided a completely different account of events and alleged that Sananya went to demand her money back from a man who claimed that he could provide her with household appliances and furniture at a discounted price. She reportedly handed over $11,000 to the man. Sananya had been employed at the House of Angostura Laventille for the last 10 years. ASP Daniel Hernandez is spearheading the TTPS investigation, even as the Professional Standards Bureau and the Police Complaints Authority conduct simultaneous investigations. The PCA has also appealed to witnesses and other members of the public who can assist in the investigation to come forward and meet with them. The Ministry of Education has advised that 11,540 or 90% of active eligible teachers across Trinidad and Tobago will receive their back pay with December 2023 salaries from today to December 19th, 2023. It said payments for the remaining 10% of active teachers will continue to be processed and is estimated to be completed by December 31st, 2023. Payments for retired teachers will be processed subsequently. Public servants will also receive their December salaries today, Tuesday. Members of a spiritual Baptist church in Clarkston Bay say the church was set on fire on Sunday night and they are puzzled about the motive for the attack. A Bible, wooden benches, altar, drums, clay vessels, and other sacred vessels of the St. Francis Shrine Church of the All Saints was stacked in the middle of the church and set alight at around 8 p.m. A member of the church who resides near to the church on Valley Road Extension on Diamond Road rushed into the church and extinguished the flames with buckets of water. The church member said she and the bishop of the church went to the Couva police station where they reported the incident to the police. Police were told that someone wearing a pair of pink pants was seen near the church when it was ablaze. Investigations are continuing into the attack. Economist Dr. Justin Ram is of the view there should have been a reduction in the workforce at the Point-of-Pear refinery, but not a complete shutdown of the facility. Ram said he believes the refinery could have remained in operation and with fiscal adjustments would have been able to pay off its debt. Speaking on the Hard Talk program on Monday, Ram said there is still desire for international interest in the refining business in and around this part of the world.
Take the hard decisions. Whatever fiscal hit we needed to take at the time, let's do that and let's keep this thing going. And the refinery would have been making money much more for us. And I think eventually we would have paid off that debt, with respect to the severance payments. And so we would have paid that off very, very easily. So I would say that very, very disappointed that what transpired and what has continued to transpire.
A 40-year-old Special Reserve Police officer has appeared in court charged with the murder of Yannick O'Brien Hercules, which occurred on August 8, 2023. Police Constable Javon Skeet, last attached to the Komodo Police Station, was charged with the offense when he appeared in the Ariba Magistrates Court on December 15, 2023. The matter was adjourned to April 26, 2024. Hercules, aka Salix, and Biggs, 36 of Piarco, was at a bar in Arima on August 5th, 2023, when he got into an altercation with another man, allegedly over payment of monies. During the incident, the man drew his licensed firearm and shot in the direction of the victim, hitting him in the chest. He was taken to the Arima Health Facility and then transferred to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, where he succumbed to his injuries on August 8th, 2023. Skeet was charged by ASP Trumpet of the Arima Police Station on December 14th, following advice received from the Director of Public Prosecutions, Roger Gaspard, on that same date. In sport, the fourth T20 international match between West Indies and England is scheduled to start at 4 p.m. today at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy at Tarouba. On Saturday, the West Indies lost their third game in the five-match series, going down to the visitors by 7 wickets. The regional side holds a 2-1 lead in the series after winning the first game by 10 runs and the second by 4 wickets. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, Britain's Minister for the Americas and Caribbean, David Rutley, says Guyana's territorial integrity should be respected. He made the comment during a visit to Guyana after neighboring Venezuela renewed its claim to the oil-rich Essequibo region. Rutley said he is in Guyana to offer the UK's unequivocal backing to their Guyanese friends ahead of a meeting with Guyanese President Irfan Ali for talks. Rutley will also hold talks with ambassadors from the United States, France, Canada, and the European Union over international support for Guyana in the dispute. Essequibo is generally recognized as part of Guyana, but in recent years, Venezuela has revived its claim to the territory and to offshore areas after major oil and gas discoveries. Tensions rose sharply this month after voters in a Venezuelan referendum backed a move to make the Essequibo area a new Venezuela state and rejected the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice, which is hearing the case on the border dispute. Well, finally, here is weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, predominantly sunny and hazy conditions with a low chance of 1 or 2 showers in a few areas. Tonight will be cool and hazy. You can expect a temperature high of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 23 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 25 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the PCA says it has started its investigations following the shooting at Quartz Megastore car park. Teachers to get back pay from today. An SRP constable in court for murder. And a British minister visits Guyana amid border controversy with Venezuela. I'm Afril St-Hill-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief and then major news again at noon with Sir Charles. Let's get into a little traffic update, see what's happening on highways and on the byways. That accident is still there. It's a serious accident. It's northbound on the Uriah Butler Highway just before Monroe Road. Someone sent me a picture. I didn't understand it well. So it's creating a little southbound traffic as well. We call that Mako traffic. Let's head down south, make our way up north. Nothing to tell you about in San Fernando whatsoever. Heading northbound on the Solo, no problems apart from when you get to that accident. Eastbound, no traffic at all. Getting on Valencia Stretch, you got a little volume from Orange Grove towards UE. Curepe Southern Main Road is beginning to build from priority bus routes. And that's it. Nothing out to the west. Just getting into Port of Spain, you got some traffic. All right, there we go. Of course, in our poll again this morning, let's get the results. Carol Joseph said no. Andre says no. Let me just check. Right. Trevin Arima says no. We didn't get any yeses at all, so I would jump the gun and say 100% said no.
I think there was one yes,
There was?
I think so. Can go back and see, but I'm not sure.
All right. But when Wendell comes in, he will tell us. He's the one who's keeping track.
Or you could check on WhatsApp and see what votes you have there.
Yeah, I have no yeses here. I just did that.
Why did I hear yes?
Now, where's Wendell?
I don't know if he's off.
Yeah.
But how many extra votes you just gave there, Steve? 4?
2. Carol Joseph and Andre. Lorna had said yes. That's right. Lorna had said yes. I just checked it. Oh, there she is. Yeah, Lorna said yes.
Mm. So the two that you just said were no's, right?
Yeah.
So it's 24 people that said no, and 1 person said yes. Wendell sent me the results, so maybe he's off already. I don't know if he's still on or not. So do you agree with Catholic priests being able to bless same-sex unions according to the Pope and the Vatican, indicating that globally? 24 people said no, they don't agree. 1 person said yes. So that's it for our results. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through all programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday.
Marval on the road. Morning to you, my friend. Be safe. Season's greetings. Leo Henry, behave. All right, so we're waiting on our guest to come in. He's probably knocking on the door to let in. Yeah. All right. Of course, I went to that Muse supermarket last evening. The one by Aranguez, Naipol's.
Extra foods?
Yeah, extra foods. Okay. Holy Molino. Talk about people. But you know what? The service is absolutely remarkable. The attendants were very pleasant.
We go to Extra Foods in a room all the time, so.
Yeah, I tried out that new one. I had to get a ham. And they had ample parking, a lot of garbage bins all over the place that were all not overrun, not filled to the brim. And security, the lights, there were a lot of lights. I like that. You felt kind of safe in the vehicle. Being safe security was going round and round and round, and foot security and vehicle security. So, well done, Extra Foods. I kind of like that supermarket. You have a lot of stuff too. You do indeed. Good morning to Mrs. RCJ in New York. Good morning to Randy Kelly. All right. You muted, Paul.
Did you send the link to the guest, or should I have sent it?
No, I did already.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't bounce back. I checked.
Yeah, so most people said no. The vast majority of people said they did not agree with the move by the, is it the Holy See you call him? I don't want to mispronounce. My Catholic training is quite vague.
No, we go to Richard for that.
You're muted.
Just call him the Pope.
The Pope. But as I said earlier on, it caused quite a bit of it got quite a bit of coverage. News outlets around the world went all rushed to publishing and having panel discussions, etal on it. So it was quite an interesting development. And
anything that you can do anything that you can do to make the world more inclusive and de-escalate hate, I'm all for it.
Amen. Well, our guest is here. Season's greetings, Vasant Bharat.
Ho, ho,
Merry
ho.
Christmas and all that good stuff.
Many happy returns to you, gentlemen. And
I like the Christmas tree in the background. It looks very nice.
Thank you.
It's nice. It's real nice.
Well, you are real Marco. You sound real Vaz, boy.
It's the same tree we've had for many years.
Yeah. Paul just likes to map
I'm
people's
observant.
background. He's
I'm
always
just
looking to see
observant.
what's in the background of people's stream.
Rasan, don't they know that when you're a
Macro.
legislator, you have to be observant. You can't let anything slip by, or you shouldn't. It's all about accountability. Anyway, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure as always.
We wanted to start our engagement about looking at Trinidad and Tobago in 2023 from many different perspectives. We are coming around to the end of another year. This is an interesting year because it's the first full year that we were out of lockdowns and the effects of COVID, the pandemic and the lockdowns continue to some extent. Let's start with the economy and your perspective on how the economy fared in 2023.
I suppose you could probably frame it in the positives and the negatives.
Well, I think it's very heavily weighed towards the negatives rather than the positive. There'll be very few positives. I think that anyone who's looking on objectively can say that Trinidad has had any significant success economically in 2023. I remember a phrase that the Queen used in 1992 when she referred to that year as being annus horribilis, meaning it was a horrible year. And I think if one were to reflect objectively on 2023, from an economic standpoint, that would be a good phrase in which to describe Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately, and regrettably, everything flows from how well the economy does. So all other sectors, whether it's education, infrastructure, healthcare, everything flows from the success or not of the economy and how the economy is doing, because of course that determines how much revenue comes into the economy, that determines how many jobs are created, that determines how much spending power people have, and so on and so forth. So the economy is a huge determinant on the quality of people's lives, and I think that in a nutshell, it's been a very poor year for Trinidad and Tobago with regard to the economy.
Let's start with the main drivers of the economy, of course, the energy sector, oil and gas. We have a gas production issue. We continue to have a gas production issue. Our oil acreages have been described as mature at best, and more than likely, with some consumer expected at the end of their peak productive years. Let me stress peak productive years, according to the experts, so much so that we've invested a lot of time and energy into negotiations with Venezuela about Dragon gas, etc. And there's been a lot of turmoil in Atlantic, to say the least. Most recent information is that the government has a larger share in Atlantic after some deals were signed recently in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think is critical for the energy sector at this point for it to start to reverse some of the trends that we've seen?
Well, first and foremost, I think we all agree that fossil fuels have a life that is probably not going to go beyond the next 20 odd years. And so therefore, we need to have been planning already how we make a transition away from fossil fuel into other kinds of energy that could be sustainable. I don't think we've done very much of that. We've talked a lot about hydrogen, we've talked a lot about solar, but I don't think any significant moves have been made towards.
But is that fair? There's a huge solar field being developed in Trinidad and Tobago, which is touted to be the largest in the Caribbean. So to say we have not made significant moves in that direction may be a bit unfair.
Well, no, I don't think so, Paul. I mean, at the end of the day, when is that likely to come on stream, and what percentage of power on the grid is that going to supply us with? And I think those are the important things. And yes, we're always talking about what we will be doing and what we're doing. What's the time frame? Ask any member of the population, any citizen in Trinidad, first of all, if they know about it, and secondly, what's the time frame that we expect to transition at least a percentage, and what percentage of our power is likely to move to that. So I think these are important questions that need to be answered and be communicated to the population, number one. We all know that our energy sector, our formal energy sector, is in decline. Natural gas is down 35%, LNG is down, I think, 37%. We know that oil production is down significantly. I think we're down to about 55,000 barrels and so on. So our existing provision of energy is significantly lower than it's been in the past, and it's certainly not enough to sustain our current industries, nor to encourage other investors to look at Trinidad and Tobago as an investment destination. So we are now essentially putting all of our eggs into the Dragonfield basket. That's really where we're pinning a significant amount of our hopes on Dragon. And if it fails, and I'm hoping it doesn't, if it does fail because of the geopolitical issues that's currently surrounding us, then what are we going to do? Now, you asked me what we could be doing with our existing sector. It is my humble opinion that if you have a resource that's likely to become obsolete in less than 20 years, you should be doing everything in your power to monetize it today. And what does that mean? It means incentivizing people who can extract it out of the ground and pay you for it today, so that even if you utilize those funds that come in from the energy companies to divest your energy sector into something else, into the area of solar and into the area of hydrogen, you are not going to be lumbered and stuck with a resource that in 10 or 15 years' time may be worthless, and it's sitting in the ground, and it has no value essentially because the world doesn't value it anymore. So I think that the government needs to really very quickly act to give the kinds of incentives to speed up a lot of the licenses. One of the big issues that we have, of course, is the bureaucracy in Trinidad. And nobody understands, or nobody, let me not use the word understand, nobody prioritizes the urgency that's required. So if the Minister of Energy or the Prime Minister truly believes, or the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago truly believes that we need to monetize, monetize this asset quickly and within a time frame of 5 to 7 years, then somebody's got to sit on the energy sector and make it happen, and ensure that whatever bureaucracy there is, that we can blow through that bureaucracy and make sure that it gets done. So that's one of the big issues that we have, the bureaucracy, and not being able to get licenses, and people eventually give up and they leave. And because it's easy,
but we're not operating in a vacuum, are we? Because I mean, no matter what we do, it will be pegged against the reference points of the other energy producers, in particular the spiraling growth of Guyana, and the fact that Guyana's economy has grown. I think they said it's over 600% in the last 18 months, and the level of interest the major players in the world are focusing on Guyana and investing in Guyana because of the potential there, because of the general regime that seems much more accommodating, and the fact that their fields and their acreages are less exploited than ours. So how are we going to navigate that, given our reference position and their growth trajectory?
Well, everything is relative in life, right? So it's clearly more difficult for someone to come into Trinidad and do business and to get their licensing regime in place and so on. The advantage we have is that we have installed assets on the ground. We have people who have invested hundreds of millions of dollars on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago over the last 50 years. And so therefore, we've got to now exploit that in the short term to say to these people, listen, you're not going to go and pick up all your assets and take it to Guyana. You're not going to pick it up and go to Nigeria at this point in time. You may do at some point in time, but we believe that we've got 8 or 10 years worth of oil in the ground, gas in the ground. What do we need to do for you to be able to extract that in that time frame. We may not get the same deal as a country that Guyana may get. We may not get the same returns that they can get. But the fact is, we've got to realize that if it's left in the ground and we allow people to pick up their assets and go elsewhere, it will be left in the ground. It will be worth zero. So everything is contextual in life, right? It's what best we can get out of this resource that we've got in the time frame that we have to do it.
You're muted, Richard.
Is natural gas going to be have a longer value than oil as a fossil fuel?
And that's what the projections are, that natural gas will have a longer time frame because it's a cleaner fuel, of course, than oil. So yes, we have a little bit of longevity there, but remember that a lot of the natural gas today that's being produced in the world is coming out of the US, which is making themselves energy self-sufficient. A lot of natural gas is coming out of Russia. A lot of natural gas is coming out of Australia. So there will come a point in time when economies of scale will ensure that we are not as competitive as others, and all we can use generally is our geographic position to be in a position to supply natural gas to countries closer to us. And that may be the only advantage we have, because we won't have the huge technology invested in Trinidad and Tobago as will be invested in Australia and the US and in Russia. So again, even though we may have a longer time frame in which to exploit our natural gas, the fact is that other countries will be bypassing us in terms of the quantity, maybe the quality, as well as the economies of scale in terms of extraction, and therefore it's going to be cheaper. Remember, natural gas is a commodity like everything else. So it all boils down to, once it works, it all boils down to price.
Yeah, the non-energy sector, of course, there has been, in terms of some people we have spoken to, some good news comes from that sector in terms of their contribution to GDP. What's your take on it?
Well, I think we've got to reference the fact that a few years ago, the Minister of Finance lumped petrochemicals into the manufacturing sector. So someone like Paul, who has been doing his research for his budget presentations and so on, will realize that maybe 5 or 6 years ago, petrochemicals was part of the energy revenues. Today, it's part of the manufacturing revenues. So although we may see that the contribution of manufacturing to total revenues have increased, the reality is that if you take petrochemicals out of that, it's not going to be as significant as it might look on paper. The other aspect of that is this. A large proportion of inputs into manufacturing are imported. So we're still very heavily reliant on imported products and the use of foreign exchange that goes into the manufacturing process. There are very few products that we are able to export or even sell in Trinidad and Tobago from a manufactured perspective where the raw material content contributes a significant portion of it. Most of it is an import. It's almost like a screwdriver industry, right? We import the raw materials, we add some labor to it, we have some added value on the basis that we have cheap electricity, and we then try to export it. Now again, there is a finite time frame to which we can continue to do those things and exist in a way that makes us competitive, because any product that we manufacture here could probably be better manufactured elsewhere at a cheaper price.
But there has been also some even if we disaggregate the downstream energy products, and you're right, it had been a couple of years ago lumped in the downstream products, that is energy sector products into the manufacturing sector, pushing the manufacturing sector's contribution to GDP up. But even if you disaggregate that, there has still been some good news in the manufacturing sector in terms of being able to break some markets in Latin America and the Caribbean and North America.
Yes, you're correct. You're quite correct. And that's predominantly in the diaspora, where they're looking for niche products that are manufactured or that carries the Trinidad and Tobago signage on it as being linked to being a product from home. And those are the kinds of products that we have to start looking at, creating a niche market and a differential between what China produces and what we can produce here. Because let's be honest, China can produce a soft drink cheaper than we can, but they can't produce chubby, right? Because chubby is perceived as being a local product that will be marketed to the diaspora in the UK or New York or those places. The question is, have we put enough intellectual horsepower behind determining what are the range of products that we would want to encourage our manufacturers to get involved in, that we can then have a natural sell into particular markets that we've identified for them? Or is it just a hit and miss where we allow the manufacturers to just get on with it despite the problems that we have? And we have significant problems. Paul, you know the problems with ease of doing business in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a serious problem at the ports currently. I saw a report last night or night before where the head of the chamber has written to Customs and Excise to have a meeting and has not even had the dignity of a response. Several weeks now that this is going on. I mean, the ministers of finance, both ministers, the minister in the ministry and the substantive minister, have not responded to phone calls to them either. And our ease of doing business, which is crucial for two things. One, the level of confidence that investors have in Trinidad and Tobago, and the level of investments that people make, are obviously determined by the ease of doing business in Trinidad and Tobago, because investors want the least possible hassle for the biggest possible return. It's as simple as that. Okay, they want to know that if they put their investment dollar in any organization, in any business, in any country, it's not going to be difficult for them to either earn a reward on it or get it out when they're ready. In Trinidad and Tobago, it's both problems. They're unable to get the money out because there's a lack of foreign exchange. They go to the bank. A businessman called me this week. He needed $34,000 US to pay a bill, and he got 500 US dollars. Now, imagine the strain and the stress on his business, but imagine also the lack of confidence engendered by the supplier to continue to supply a business person continue to supply them with goods. So it's an issue that we seem to be numb to. I think that in Trinidad and Tobago, almost in every sphere of life, people have become numb to the realities. They've almost distanced themselves from what's going on in the larger picture. They're just looking after themselves, hoping that nothing is going to happen to them, nothing is going to happen to their businesses, and they become very detached. And that's
what's in the way of progressing past these issues? Because a lot of the issues you're talking about, we've had for many years. I want to go back a bit to the non-energy manufacturing sector and the inputs into the production of goods and services. And you're right, because I was in New York a week and a half ago, and it was very easy to get carob and chubby for a gathering. I mean, shandy carob, a lot of local products were there on the shelves in so many New York shops in the diaspora areas, right? So it was extremely easy to get them, and a lot of the stuff that we like to put into our foods were available on the shelves in New York. But you're right, that's catering to a diaspora market. Isn't that a viable market? And in terms of what goes into making those products, it's tied to, and don't bust my head for bringing up this second, you might want to bust my head, the agricultural sector, and what we're producing as raw materials in the agricultural sector. And the fact that our food import bill is now $7 billion as opposed to $5 billion 8 years ago. So instead of increasing agricultural output, it seems to be dwindling. And the importing of raw materials and inputs for manufactured products, even for export, is still dependent highly on outside sources.
So, two things, Paul. If you went to, and I know you travel significantly, what started off as produce and products that serviced the diaspora 10 years ago, in many places in the world are now on mainstream shelves, okay, for certain products, not necessarily Trinidadian products, because we haven't reached there yet. But if you look at if you go to, say, Tesco's in the UK, or Sainsbury's, or one of those, or even a Publix in the US, you will see now that a lot of what was determined a few years ago to be niche products from certain countries are now on mainstream shelves. So products from Thailand, products from India, products from other parts of the Jamaica, right? Jerk, for example, or certain pepper sauces from Jamaica are on mainstream. They're no longer in the diaspora aisles, if I could use that word, right? The question is, how do we determine, or have we done any work, which I doubt, to determine what are these products that we can encourage our producers here in Trinidad to make, that we as a country would then help our manufacturers to promote in mainstream markets, as the Jamaicans do, as the Bajans do, as other people in other parts of the world do. You tie that then back to your tourism sector, and then you tie that back to your agricultural sector. We have learned nothing from COVID. We were in a desperate situation during COVID, gentlemen, where we were not sure that we were going to be able to import the foods that we consume. If you go to any supermarket shelf today, probably, I would guess, close to 90% of the food items on the shelves in the major groceries are imported. Okay, we have learned nothing. We talked at length in the Roadmap Committee and thereafter about being able to create a level of food self-sufficiency. All right, we talked about it being not just about food security, but creating jobs, getting young people involved in technology to grow food, because we know that agriculture is not the most attractive of sectors for young people to get involved in. We talked about it from the perspective of saving that a significant part of that $7 billion that you spoke about, Paul. We have learned nothing because we've done nothing. There's been no emphasis or no priority on ensuring that, look, coming out of COVID, let's draw a line in terms of what's important for Trinidad and Tobago, and let's concentrate on those areas. We've not done it.
Let me ask a direct question. Why is that? Is it because a lack of the development? But this is my conspiracy theory mind going to, and I'm sorry, but it just seems to me that the lack of inertia in the agricultural sector, to me, is commensurate to the growth in food import bill, which fuels a retail economy of import for some types of businesses in this country. To me, it seems as if we grow agriculture and produce and consume more locally, it will have an effect on the some sectors of the business retail class, and somebody doesn't want that. I don't know. It's just my mind playing tricks.
Well, that would be a logical conclusion to come to, Paul, but I would really hate to think that it's deliberate. I believe that it is a lack of commitment to the agricultural sector that has allowed this vacuum to open up, to allow entrepreneurs. And let's be frank about this. This is not 100 entrepreneurs. This is the food import bill in Trinidad and Tobago is shared probably amongst 4 or 5 big players, right? So it is logical to assume that you may be arriving at the proper conclusion.
Which also has a significant impact on the forex consumption.
Well,
because you don't buy those, that $8 billion is not bought in TT dollars.
Do you know what the price of tomatoes is in the market today, in the tuna market? $25 a pound for tomatoes today, right? Oh, as at last Sunday. I go to the market every Sunday. $25 a pound. But there will come a point in time, Paul, where in the next few months, tomatoes will be £3 for $10, right? We have no industry that is structured in a way that encourages people to get involved. Which young man or woman is going to get involved in a sector that does this, right? They want to know that they have an income stream that is like this. They could go to the bank, they can use whatever they have as collateral, they can get loans, they can continue to invest. But we have an agricultural sector that is a roller coaster, because 1 month it's $3 a pound, 1 month it's $25 a pound. And it's not structured. And I've continually said that if we believe as a country that agriculture and food security is important to us, then we have to place the level of emphasis on it that we placed on the energy sector when we were looking to grow that sector. And 5 years down the road, we will reap the benefits of it, because we will have a lot more people in the sector. We will have a lot more people, young people involved using technology in the sector. We will be exporting our produce, and we would have created a whole new sector in 5 years. It's not rocket science. I mean, we've how many times have we sat here and had this very same discussion?
It's frustrating, honestly. But the response will be, well, we've put incentives in the ADB, the Agricultural Development Bank, and we've avoided tax on import of the machines to do agriculture. But then that's simply, clearly not enough.
No, but nobody's hand holding the process. Now, I'm not one for spoon feeding people, but I feel that if as a country we determine amongst ourselves, and I think it's generally accepted, that we're spending far too much money on importing food, and that we have an industry here that is just waiting to happen, I believe that it needs to be handheld from the top.
But we all say we agree with that in public pronouncements. Every government in the last 15 to 20 years has said that. Even when it was $3.5 billion, we've said so 15 years ago. Yet, it is not going down. It's exponentially growing. It's grown by $2 billion in the last 7 or 8 years.
Paul, in the 2 years, and I'm not boasting here because the records are there, in the 2-year period, under my tenure as Minister of Agriculture from 2010 to 2012, we made significant inroads in terms of growing more food, in terms of putting in more access roads. We put in 300 ponds in a 2-year period. We refurbished 27 fish landing sites. Many of them you still see aboard, refurbished by so-and-so, in all Cocorite, right where I live, Maracas, all over the country. We did a significant amount of work, but more important than what we did, we gave a level of confidence to the agricultural sector that things were happening. A lot of people were getting involved in agriculture. A lot of young people were getting involved in agriculture. We were going to the schools. We were going to universities with UTT, COSTAT, talking to young people about agriculture. Every moment we got, we spoke about job creation and saving of foreign exchange. We were looking to convert people's palates. We even introduced things like sweet potato fries into KFC to try to change people's palates. The problem is that unless you have leadership that is looking long term, from the minute I was moved, I mean, these are the facts, from the minute I was moved from agriculture to trade, almost all of the initiatives went downhill, and then it went further downhill subsequently. And then, you start to get people who had invested, who are now pulled out of the sector. People are now frustrated. They're disappointed. And we don't have the long-term leadership. When one government changes, another one has a different perspective. Um, we're just not serious. Let's be honest. We're just not serious. And our people don't hold us to account for the promises and the commitments that we make. We take no responsibility for failure anymore in Trinidad and Tobago. Everybody else is to blame apart from us. That is the culture that we've developed. That is the culture. Whatever is right or whatever is wrong is whatever is convenient at this point.
I kind of disagree with that. I think many people agree with what you're saying. I think the problem is people more prioritize political allegiance than the issue itself. So it gets muddled between, well, I can't say what I really want to say because, well, I will seem like I'm X or Y and not going against the grain, because it's more about keeping X in power or putting X in power than dealing with the issues in Trinidad and Tobago. And that's an unfortunate space to reach in a country. We're not the only country facing that.
Well, thankfully, I'm in a position where it doesn't really matter to me who cares about what.
Before we end, because we're talking about the economy and everything, to me, and this is my personal opinion, like food and food security, we're playing catch up and falling behind with physical security and now cybersecurity. I see the initiatives to try to bolster cybersecurity awareness more now, but the physical security issue is still a big challenge, and it has a direct impact on the economy.
It has a direct impact on everything: how we live our lives, the quality of our lives, the tourism sector, the fact that people are not willing to invest in a third shift because they can't get people to work at nights. Taxi drivers. Doubles vendors leave at 6 o'clock now instead of going on till 10 o'clock. It has an impact on all of our lives and the quality of our lives. And it has, as I said, it has caused us in many instances to just essentially distance ourselves from the rest of society. We're just living, hoping that something doesn't happen to us or doesn't happen to our businesses. And we feel a sense of hopelessness that the authorities are either not willing or not able to tackle this scourge of crime. And as I say, we're just hoping for a better day, but we truly believe, I think most of us, that is not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. As I say, and it has affected the very quality of our existence in Trinidad and Tobago, how we interact with each other, how we socialize, our relationships with our children, our families, everything is affected by it, unfortunately. And that's the most basic thing that is important to human existence. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you look at down at the very base of it, it's water, shelter, food, and security. Okay. In Trinidad and Tobago, with all of the billions of dollars that have passed through Trinidad and Tobago in the last 50 or 60 years, we are at that base level. We lack shelter, we lack food, we lack water, and we lack security. And that's where we are as a country at this point in time. It's unfortunate to see. I come back to what I said before. It's been an annus horribilis. I don't think, I suspect it will get worse, unfortunately. I was going to say I don't think it can, but I suspect it will get worse. And unless we as a people, I come back to what you talked about, Paul, just now, unless we prioritize ourselves and our country before political parties, I think this is going to continue for some time, unfortunately.
So you don't see anything really, I started the conversation by saying, what do you see as the positives? What do you see as the negatives? And you said, well, there wasn't much positives. So, and I know the manufacturing sector, we talked about it, and there was a glimmer of some positivity there. But you're very, very negative about the scenario for Trinidad and Tobago.
And I'm negative because I travel extensively. I work in many parts of the world, and I see what others are doing with far less than we have. And I'm saddened. I'm saddened when I reflect on what we can be. And it's not too late. We can be much better than we are. We can be we can be a lot better. We can do a lot better than we're doing, and we can enjoy a greater quality of life. I mean, let's be honest, gentlemen. There is nobody that I have met recently in any sector of society, whether it's a business person, whether it's a housekeeper, whether it's a market vendor, at any level, I have not come across anybody who says that they're really happy. They're really, truly happy in Trinidad and Tobago. And I go to other countries. I'm off to Cambodia in a couple of weeks' time to do some work with a donor agency that's looking to invest in Cambodia. And when you look at the level of poverty in countries like this, but the quality of lives of the people in terms of the level of happiness, how they enjoy themselves, how they interact with each other. We've talked about Fiji before. You see, you must feel saddened that we have so much capacity, we have so much capability. So many of our young, capable people are now leaving Trinidad and Tobago. That's not a secret. Everybody knows that. Everybody who has the opportunity are looking abroad. There is not a week that I don't get a phone call from a young professional or two, not saying, should we leave, but where should we go? Should it be to the UK? Should it be Canada? Should it be US? Where are the best prospects for my level of profession? The problem, of course, as you guys know, is once these young people leave, these young professionals in particular leave because they're the ones who have the opportunities. And they leave when they're in their 30s. They're not coming back. They are contributing to the development of other countries, other people, other economies, and their children also are born and they grow up elsewhere. They don't see themselves ultimately as Trinidadians, and they're certainly not coming back to Trinidad to contribute. So we need
what needs to shift? Because some we have suggested for years, or run down the rabbit hole that is either this party or this party can get us out of this morass, but that doesn't seem to be the solution. So which means the solution lies elsewhere. What needs to shift? Because we tend to, because we come from that sort of lineage, put every solution in the hands of political directorates, whether it be X or Y, but we don't accept the responsibility as a people for the shift that needs to take place. What needs to shift in the people of Trinidad and Tobago?
A lot of people I've spoken to in the last few weeks have said to me that maybe we're not hurting enough yet. And only when we get to that point, we will then decide that we and this country come first rather than red or yellow. There's a story about the dog on the nail. I'm not sure if I've ever related it on this program before, where a dog is lying on a floor and a nail is sticking through the floor, but the nail isn't sticking through enough to pierce the skin of the dog. So the dog turns back and forth on the nail, but just in different positions because it's a little uncomfortable, but it hasn't pierced the skin yet. But until the nail actually pierces the skin and draws blood, only then will the dog actually get up and move to another spot. And maybe, just maybe, we haven't reached that point where the nail has pierced the skin to draw blood, although it's pretty bad as it is. But I think that's a little bit flippant. Our reality is that we lack leadership. We lack leadership that is inspiring. We lack leadership that paints a real vision that can take us all with him or her. That's what we lack.
What do you think made the difference in Guyana, Bassant? Guyana was stuck in a political debacle for a number of years with untold resources being unexploited successfully and going back and forth in a political dilemma, much akin to Trinidad and Tobago, some may suggest. But something happened in Guyana 7 or so years ago. Remember, they had a political deadlock, and then something happened that made a change that put Guyana on a different path. What was that?
I really don't think that it was anything that was done intentionally. I think the fact that they were able to strike such large deposits of oil, I think that energized the country because of the level of spending that was able to be projected for the country. And I think the projections from the international agencies also about the growth rates, and you talked about 600% in the last 2.5 years, the projections for growth rates. And so therefore the energy levels that were imparted to the people about the quality of their lives and the investments that were going to take place. And there was a whole sense of that Guyana is taking off. That in itself created the level of confidence in the people. And then, of course, once you have that level of confidence, you have the level of investments, and then you have the level of job opportunities and all of those things that have happened. We are on the other side of that curve. We need to be looking at how do we, first of all, exploit the assets we have on the ground with the energy sector who's been here for the last 50 or 60 years, for whatever time frame we have left. And then at the same time, and as a parallel exercise, what are the things that we are going to be doing that can place us, not with the same kind of wealth as Guyana has, but can place us in a position where our young people can thrive, where we can start. Look, my vision for this country is, because I believe this will go a long way to correcting a lot of the issues, utilizing whatever resources we have, human and otherwise, to build strong institutions. I think our institutions in Trinidad and Tobago are deliberately kept weak, because when they're weak, then you need to go to a politician or you need to go to somebody to ask for a favor. Okay? So if you build strong institutions that can then deliver good quality goods and services to people, I think that will go a huge way, a long way in creating success factors for Trinidad and Tobago. But
strong institutions stamp out opportunities for corruption, and not everyone wants opportunities for corruption stamped out.
Well, Paul, this is where strong leadership, determined leadership, a leadership that has a vision for the country, where the country is going to be in 10 years or 20 years' time, getting buy-in from the people, encouraging people to come and invest. Who is investing in Trinidad and Tobago, local or foreigners? Who? What was the last investment you ever heard about? Look at yesterday. Do you know yesterday, the England cricket team is here in Trinidad and Tobago to play a game today and one on Thursday, right? The England team has been banned. They've been prohibited from leaving the Hyatt Regency. Prohibited. What message? You think that message hasn't reached back to the UK already? The diplomat who was held up in Curep, her car was stolen and her belongings taken from her under at gunpoint. Do you think that hasn't reached the international media? So investors who are potentially looking to put their investment dollar anywhere in the world, do you think Trinidad is going to be on their radar? Of course not. My point is, and the minister then basically says to the population, issue of national security or securing people is really not his portfolio. Well, then the same can go for the Minister of Health and the Minister of Education and the Minister of Works and Transport. Who takes responsibility? Who is responsible then for these things? Because if no minister is responsible for ensuring either safety or education or healthcare, then we don't need a government. We should be running the country by ourselves. And this is my point. We have absolved ourselves at all levels of all responsibilities, and it's always somebody else's fault. If we start to take responsibility, if we have leadership that takes responsibility, that accepts blame where blame is due, and we account to the population for what we want to do, and we offer ourselves to be measured and measurable based on our levels of performance, I think that's a great start. But I don't foresee it happening with any of the leaders we have on either side currently.
I
because
know it all the time.
it is
But I
in
just
their interest to continue the status quo, right? It's in their
a
interest
quick,
to continue.
a quick response. And if you think we're spending a lot of money on training and education, which I have no problem with, but are we training people in the growth poles that are evolving globally to position our intellectual forces?
I don't think so. I mean, but first of all, as you've seen recently in our examination results, they've been very poor by any standard. I think in the last SEA results, there were, if I'm not mistaken, almost a 50% failure rate. But that's besides the point. The question you're asking me is: are we training? Is our educational curriculum sufficient
But did we
to?
top a lot of the exams in CSEC and Cape?
Sorry.
Didn't we didn't Trinidad and Tobago students generally top the
Yeah. So you
region?
have so you have a top 10 or 12 students that's excelling from certain schools every year, but you have 50% of the total number taking the examination
Exactly.
every year, right? And then what are the avenues for these young children at the age of 10, 11, 12, whatever it is? What are their avenues to progress in life and succeed? Because you're almost condemning them to failure, because there is very little within the system that can absorb them and make them productive human beings. Now, question Paul asked is, does the education curriculum um, cater for the new world of work? And the reality is no. The new world of work, which is cybersecurity, AI, content creation, telemedicine, green energy, our schools aren't those things are not part of our school curriculum. So we are now putting thousands of people out of tertiary education every year, and they can't find jobs because we are not matching the world of work. And it doesn't matter to me whether you are producing graduates that can go over that can go other places in the world and work, because we may not be able to absorb all of them. But hopefully, what we ought to be doing also is to encouraging those industries that we see as future industries to come and position themselves in Trinidad, so that when we churn the graduates out, they don't have to go abroad. They can work right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Are we doing that? You see, this requires work, guys. This requires a certain mindset that starts to match things together, that not everything operates in a silo, and when you've done your bit, to hell with everybody else. And so this requires a matching of all resources, or resources meaning our human resources and our capacities, building for the future, understanding where the world of work is going, producing graduates, giving gate funding, giving incentives to local companies to be involved in those growth sectors. We announce it in the budget, and then that's it until next year, right? You're on your own as a company after that. So, there's you try to get the incentives. You've talked about the incentives, Paul. I know of farmers who 2 and 3 years down the road, they bought a tractor and they still can't get the money back that was promised to them by government, because they go from agency to agency, not here, go Caroni, go this one, go Centeno, go here, go back. And eventually they give up, because that's the intention, because it creates less work for those who are involved. And until we really understand, and I'm not saying that we should prioritize everything in Trinidad and Tobago, but if we understand that we take 5 sectors that need priority and we handhold them and we sit on them as leaders and we make them work, I think 5 years from today, they will become the norm. We will be operating in a norm. Paul, when we did this ease of doing business thing, start a business took 72 days. And I brought all the public servants from every single sector, from every area, from legal affairs, from Ministry of Trade, and from the Ministry of Finance. And they all strenuously said there is no way we could reduce this time frame from 72 days. Today, it's 3 days. It's 3 days. And if you ask the same public servants, which I did, having called them back into our rooms after the exercise was completed, how is it that 4 weeks ago, all of you guys said this was impossible? And their response to a man was, because, Minister, that's the way we always did it.
It's called learned helplessness. Minister, I almost said Minister, yes, Mr. Barath Vasan, thank you for being with us. May we take the opportunity to wish you and your family a safe, happy, holy Christmas and all the best.
Many happy returns to you guys, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for being our guest for a year.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right.
Vasan, you all have a great day. Be safe. If you're shopping, please have your wits about you. It is 5 days before Christmas, and some of the bandits have children too, and they unfortunately will want to distress you to provide for themselves and their families. So please be safe as you go out there. Look out for the babies at home, because you're doing all sorts of stuff in their presence, and you don't want them to pick up stuff that they shouldn't be picking up. So have a safe day and be safe.
All right. It's 6 days.
Have a fantastic day, whatever you're doing. Remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Enjoy the season. Enjoy it. Enjoy.
All right.